call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock. Board members are present with the exception of Sean Embry, who is excused. First up is review and approval of the September 10th public meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to accept the September 10th, 2024 minutes.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor of the motion as presented, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. The next board meeting is October 8th at Canterbury Elementary School. I believe that's when we'll get the first look at the budget, correct?
That is correct.
And we're still on track.
Absolutely.
I don't want to,
We're good.
okay.
We'll see you on here.
All right. Next up is public communication and correspondence. In your packet, I received an email from Kate Ahern, who also has applied to be on the budget advisory committee. So included in your packet because she asked that I bring it forth to the rest of the board at the next meeting. Other members of the public? Opening up for public comment. Seeing none? Anyone have questions about it?
I'm a little confused. Is she, so like my child went through this recently and I didn't have the same experience. I find it hard to believe that a teacher would make that statement at an open house. And then there's a talk about how BES has one recess a day. And Canterbury has two, but one's really not a recess. It's just before school. When you drop your kids off, they play there. And then we recently added modulars to BES, correct?
That was a couple years ago. Those have been removed once we put the 2 classroom addition on the building.
All right, so I know that there's class sizes down further in here.
Yeah, and we will talk, class sizes is further down on the
Okay,
agenda,
alright.
so we will talk about class sizes, and I know Mr. Tercey, the enrollment at CES isn't accurate here with 73 students or more than that.
Right.
So this is really for information only, and
Okay,
I know
I'm
she.
sorry, I thought you wanted her.
No, it just if you had questions, it's really information only. If you have questions about it, Kate has put her name in. I think she's wanting us to look at how to more fluidity between the 2 schools is what she talked about at the end.
So like more opportunities for the 2 schools to get together.
Yes, and so that if one school is overcrowded and another school is not, could we look at more fluidity between the districts?
So we allow that to happen now.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Right.
can't that be
Based
requested
on
by the
class
parent?
size
Yes.
as well.
Is she looking for us to fund transportation back and forth? Sorry,
Yes.
okay.
So specifically in my phone conversation with Kate, I talked to her about the points that she made here as well. I let her know that we do allow families to choose between both elementary schools based on class sizes. And we also have always had that flexibility for years and years and years. So her point being is that the district would get to a point where you're telling a family that you would go to this school because we're trying to level out or equalize enrollments. And I said, my personal opinion is we don't want to tell families specifically what they should be doing. We offer opportunities for them, but.
Yeah, no, I
That
don't
was
want
the
to draw a
point.
line in town,
Yeah.
put the proverbial tracks over there.
Right, so I also mentioned to her, I was very happy that she put her name in on the advisory
Yeah.
budget committee, because that was a great opportunity to get a detailed, get a seat around the table to get a detailed understanding of a school district budget. These things are all discussed. It's quite an eye-opener your first time coming in to look at a school district budget.
I read into it as though with like the fluidity, like that we would look at, say, K1, 2, 3 at BES, and then all of 4, district-wide might come to CES. And as soon as, and again, that's what I read into
Okay,
it,
yeah,
as a possible, situation. And then it's like, holy cow, how do you do that transportation?
Right.
Because you'd have to bring everybody to one spot and then transfer over, and now you're killing even more time in the course of the day.
Yeah.
Bus routes are already pretty long.
Right, yeah, like I said, so
It will be costly.
you could definitely interpret this like with different ways and
Exactly.
and what someone was looking for.
Right.
Also, the bulk of the students at CES live in one area. That's my understanding, at least, or a good chunk of them live in a very isolated area. There's like 100 kids in Sherwood. So like I would not, and that's the closest to the Belmont line, so that sounds to me like that could potentially make this worse to overcrowd.
Do the two schools start at the same time? Like, how come they have 20 minutes time?
They do not.
Their schedule is not the exact same.
And for Canterbury, there's a period of time where you can drop off. So you can drop off between 8:10 and 8:30.
It's like, so it's like assistants out there supervising?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, starting at 8:10.
Well, and also the buses drop off and where parents drop off, the playground's right there. So I guess it makes sense for the kids to go there, and I don't think it's the same at BES.
It's a different setup.
Yeah.
You're talking about two different schools in the sense of enrollment numbers specifically in the facility itself, so.
I think, she was bringing forward, and I agree with Mark, like, we don't know exactly what she was proposing, but trying to, I think, encouraging us to look at creative ideas, explore all options, and the advisory budget committee would help us do that, to see, like, what would it be to think through some of that, and how much would that cost, and what would that mean, so.
So currently, the only opportunity that they get together is Camp Cody. Right?
That's not necessarily true. So, for example, this year, we have CES and BES students all going to a book author event in Concord. Very pleased about that. So we try to find any opportunity we can
What
to.
grade is that?
What grade is that, Aaron?
3rd and 4th.
3rd and 4th. So that's a great opportunity that both schools will be together. We try to look for those opportunities and make them happen.
Okay, next up is permission to travel. This is something from Madame, from French Club.
Trip to do every year, so for a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the French exchange program for travel. Permission to travel.
Second.
Discussion.
How do we ensure that we won't run into similar troubles that some of us ran into with trip last year?
I've never heard of those issues, particularly with the French exchange program. So I think it's a matter of making sure that it's really upfront with families as to the travel insurance that you can purchase and what those options are. And what the fees are associated if there's a cancellation.
So they have 21 students, 2 teachers, and 1 parent going.
Oh, and she's done this, she does this every year, so it's yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
This is a different company than the one in question. Do we use different companies for tours, not the same one?
Sometimes we do.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion as presented, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention?
I'll abstain.
Motion carries. There's a new co-curricular request. And this is a charter?
Yep, this is a charter for BMS, similar to the hiking club that we have at BES.
I'm assuming that this will be during daylight hours?
Yes.
Okay. And not like in the winter, not going to be reading about,
No.
okay, everyone's going to fundraise for a hike safeguard?
Correct.
There could be a winter hiking with guns off.
Yeah.
Well, that lights up, I mean,
Sure.
that wouldn't be necessarily a bad thing.
And there's no, because this is a charter, there's no funding associated with it.
Correct.
It did say that that would be the expectation moving forward.
Yeah, so potentially just getting to remind the board of the process. If you approve the charter, it then goes to Appendix B as a recommendation to add, as it's going to be a stipend position. And, with something like this, there could be potential transportation costs to get students to and from the trailhead, particularly to the trailhead, because we do allow parents to pick up at the trailhead if necessary, same with the BES. So there are potential costs associated with this club.
Right, but for this year, there wouldn't be, and then it would go to Appendix B next year for a recommendation if they've been in existence for a year.
No matter what, we'd be looking at transportation this year or no?
We're trying to find ways to, if necessary.
Okay.
When I was on PTO in Canterbury, we did assist with costs for patrons.
Yes.
So right now, we're not paying for anything.
Not at this point.
Motion to approve BMS hiking club charter.
Okay. Discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion as presented, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Okay, Michael, you included class sizes.
Yeah, so I wanted to make sure that the board had this report. Again, this is as of September. October is really our official enrollment numbers, if you will, October 1st. But I just wanted to get it ahead of the game. I know that this has been discussed at the board level a few times, particularly over the summer with the development of the new policy, as well as when we talk about it during budget development almost every year. So this is what our class sizes are, and you can see that there's an average class size there. It's not listed for the high school, as that note indicates, because of the variability of the enrollment numbers of the specific courses, so it's very difficult to do an average class size. So just wanted to provide you with this report.
Could we get a report of what current enrollment is for the classes that are running?
Yeah, we could do that. We're still, I believe, in the drop add period for courses, so I couldn't provide that to you at this time until that's over, but we could get that for you.
Just a quick question, so for Belmont in the 4th grade, I see a 0.
Yeah,
right?
I think it's a,
There's 4 teachers per grade, right? 4 classes per grade.
You talking about the
No.
preschool?
No, the
No,
4th
the 4th
grade.
grade, the average class size it has a 0.
Is it
Oh,
zero?
yeah.
3rd grade only has 3 teachers. For sure. Right?
Correct. 4th grade has 4. Thank you.
And weren't we looking for another kindergarten?
We are
Okay,
still posted.
so that's a temporary.
Mhm.
Questions? So Michael's gonna follow up with current enrollments at the high school.
So average class size, around 16.
Thank you.
Any questions? Buildings and grounds. Please do, yeah, there it is. Steve.
Good evening.
Evening.
So you all got my report.
Yeah?
What questions do we have? None?
So for the 2 bathroom renovations that are 90% done, are they operational right now?
Absolutely, yep.
But they don't have countertops or
But
sinks?
we're replacing the sinks and the countertops as soon as they can be produced. That's what
Oh,
the, yeah.
so they're there. They're
Oh, yeah,
just-
the old ones are still there, they're still working.
I read it as.
The sort of construction zones?
Oh, they're
Yeah.
90% complete.
90% complete, but the countertops and sinks weren't available. I'm like, what are we doing in these bathrooms? Okay.
So the generator has arrived at the electrical outfit that's gonna be installing it, Gemini.
That's
I have
generator at
the,
high school.
Ryan's is coming on Thursday morning to take a look at the gas and how to hook it up. They're gonna do that for us, I believe, most of the hookup anyways. And they wanna make sure we have enough gas, if not, they will install another tank for it. So we're gonna survey that on Thursday morning, and then hopefully we get going.
And did everything come in as, are the costs what we had planned for?
Yes.
There were no variations?
How big of a propane tank do we currently have?
We have 1,500 gallons in the ground.
There, potentially that might not be enough.
Oh, no, they have a way of figuring it out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna meet with the guy, I don't really know enough about it to answer your question, but
Yeah, because we don't, I mean, what kind of consumption do we have at the school? I mean, most of the heat is generated with bio, right?
we do it with the generator now is diesel.
Right, but for heat in the building, we're not using propane for heat, we're using.
Yes, we are, we use propane and pellets.
Oh, okay.
And the kitchen uses propane as well.
Yep. Okay.
So they're just
I
sizing it to
thought
make
the
sure
heat-
that we don't run out.
I thought the main source of the heat was the pellets and then propane was back.
Pellets, if they're running 100%, can only do 80% of the building.
Got it.
So that's how it's designed.
And do they run at 80%? Just curious. The pellets, or are they less than that normally?
Depends whether, I mean, they're dirty, there's something that need to be cleaned a lot, and they go down a lot, so it's hard to vary, but if they run 80%, we'd only be running 20% propane. But we have a better PM program this year, so we're hoping to keep it running more.
Any other questions?
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Director of Information Technology. We're glad to not see Debbie and Michael because they served in that role last year and, yeah. Sorry.
Not as glad as we are.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. And we're very fortunate to have Brandon on board as our director of IT. He's doing a great job. Hit the ground running on July 1st.
So welcome.
Thanks. It's good to, I guess, be back home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're gone from the district for how long?
Year and a half?
Year and a half.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad you're back.
It's good to be back. So kind of the same thing as Steve. I just wanted to touch on some of the bigger things we had going on. And I kind of go top down, not necessarily biggest to smallest, but just how I ordered it on the sheet there. We had some unexpended ESSER funds and some very troublesome staff Chromebooks that were starting to become an issue as they age. So we were able to use that ESSER funds with some additional special revenue to basically purchase all new SREA staff Chromebooks. We haven't rolled them out yet. We do have them, but we're just kind of waiting until the rush of the start of the school year for Jim and Leo to finish up, and then we can get those enrolled and get them out into the hands of the staff.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yeah.
Did it replace all of the SREA Chromebooks or just?
We planned for, I believe there's 125 SREA or 125 total, including non-filled, and we purchased 125 devices. Yep.
So I'm just making sure everybody's getting, I
Yeah.
don't know if everybody's on the same rotation or how that works.
We, and this goes back a few years, purchased the BES staff separately from the rest of the district. And then this time around, we just purchased the entire district all in one shot, so everybody has the same device. Because BES does have a different make and model than the rest of the district.
And one other question.
Yeah.
He'll get used to me. The other special revenue, what does that mean? The 19,178?
That came out of the Chromebook insurance fund.
It's also the fund that the board approves every year to put our P card rebate into,
It's special ribbon.
as well as our E-rate monies.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
Except for the $20 each year.
A big project that we're working on finishing up is all the interior classroom wireless door lock system. We have finished up all the programming on that. We're working on a couple more physical locks. I think actually the last lock is the double door here in the library. We're just waiting on some physical hardware. All of the programming is done. We have the doors auto unlocking at 5:30 in the morning and auto locking at 4:30 in the afternoon, so staff don't have to lock and unlock their doors. And if we go into a soft lockdown or have to press the panic button, all of the locks automatically lock. We have, I should put a caveat on that, we have not fully tested that because I just finished the programming very recently, so we haven't had some time during the school year to test that functionality. But as soon as we get the chance, we'll test that. Multi-factor authentication. During the staff professional development day on September 10th, I went around to all the different schools and had a conversation with everybody on enrolling their account in multi-factor. So far, we have a 58% success rate out of everybody that attended, but we will make it effective, or make it mandatory effective September 30th. Speaking of which, around 7:30, I have an email scheduled to go out to all you guys with your instructions on how to set up multi-factor on your SAU 80 accounts.
Just a quick question.
Yeah. Thank you.
So if you have any trouble with any of that, absolutely reach out to me. I can certainly walk you through it. I mean, that's pretty much it for the big hitters for planned and unplanned current projects. We do have some big ones coming up. Our district firewall is end of life in May. We are planning on replacing that over the winter before it goes completely end of support, so that there's no lapse in chance of anything failing that we don't have any support for. The NVR, which stands for Network Video Recorder, for all the cameras throughout the district, are reaching the point of we should probably replace those. I think they're currently 8 years old. 5 to 7 is the general lifespan for most technology products. So we'll be looking into replacing that. The district core switch and router, that's another one. It's 7 years old. That handles all the communication, everything throughout all the buildings goes into that, then goes to the firewall, and then goes out to the internet. So that's kind of important.
What is an E-rate category 2?
E-rate is and maybe Debbie can help me explain it a little bit better, is a government program that gives schools a certain percentage back on different categories. Category 1 being most connectivity outside of the school building is the way it was described to me. So like your phone connection to the public switch telephone network, your internet connectivity, and those are like the biggest ones that I can think of right now. And then category 2 is inside the building connectivity. So wireless access points, network switching equipment, battery backups that power all that stuff. That's all category 2.
So the only reason I ask is I feel like I've been talking about this for 2 years on the technology capital improvement plan. So we have, these are on there, I believe. So we have money that we're using from there, but we'll also get money back.
As long as they're approved for E-rate, then we will get money back, but you don't get it back in the year you spend it, you get it back after.
And then I'm assuming that you'll be reviewing the technology improvement plan to update it?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
We've actually started doing that already because that's part of our budget development process. Make sure we have what the funds that we need, or if there's a savings, take advantage of that as well.
Yep, and then as always, we just continue to keep our infrastructure and virtual server environment updated, patched, and secure. And that's all I got for you. Those are the big ones. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Thank you.
Yeah,
Great.
thank you.
Thanks, Brandon.
Okay, Debbie.
My first update is on the budget development. We definitely will be ready to have that to hand out to you. The administrators have all done a wonderful job this year reusing the software and actually putting everything in through that. So it's going very well and getting the reports out already. So it's great. I have been in touch with the Department of Revenue, and they've confirmed that they have all of our information that they need to set tax rates. They're just waiting for the final numbers from the Department of Ed on what the special ed is, and at least the school information is all in. So I'm sure I'll be getting a call sometime in the next month to review. That's the update I have.
Any questions for Debbie on her update?
No.
Okay, advisory budget committee.
So as you can see, we did send out the notice asking for individuals who were interested in serving on the advisory budget committee. We received 5 responses, and I've provided those names for you. I did not update the motion piece, so one of the names is missing from the motion. You'll have to be a little creative in your crafting of your motion if you want to nominate all 5.
All right, motion to appoint Jay Grafton, Kate Ahern, Heidi Cheney, Edgar Rivera, and Bob Steenson to the Advisory Budget Committee.
Second. Discussion.
We have two last year?
We had 3 last year,
3 last year.
2 Canterbury and 1 Belmont.
Jay's holding strong.
He is.
I'd love
Heidi
to see.
too.
Well, he is, I mean, Jay.
Oh, yeah, he's
Jay
the only
is-
one from Belmont ever.
He's very thorough.
Yeah.
He reads everything, and he asked great questions.
Yeah.
I think it's a huge asset having him there.
I'm glad to see some additional people we haven't had before in the discussion, so.
Yeah, looking forward to Edgar's input, Kate's input, and Bob's experience, knows the budget, as well as currently serves on the budget committee in town of Canterbury.
Yeah.
Motion. Thank you. Okay, all those in favor of the budget as, not the budget. Let's go. We made it through budget development.
We're not ready for that yet.
Oh, geez. Of the motion as presented, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Thank you. I will send an email to them tomorrow with the budget calendar. The next thing, we have 4 grants that we have received. They do not meet the level that we need to hold a public hearing on, but the board does need to accept the grants.
Okay, so the first 2 are leaning into literacy 2 resource grants.
Correct.
Belmont Elementary School for $10,052.73. In Canterbury for $5,469.54.
Make a motion to accept the Belmont Elementary School Lean into Literacy 2 resource grant in the amount of $10,052.73 and accept the Canterbury Elementary School Lean into Literacy 2 resource grant in the amount of $5,469.54.
Second.
Discussion?
Is there any way of finding out what the requirements of the grant are?
So the general requirements of these grants, the state is providing funding for schools and school districts to implement a evidence-based, a research-based literacy program within the schools. So these monies go towards professional development as well as resources for our teachers and students to use. And just like any of the state requirements, we have to submit an application through the grants approval process, and we have to list our activities and what those activities are, and then approved by the state, and we move forward.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the only reason I asked is some of the grants that I've gone after in the past, comes with a laundry list of you will, or you shall, or whatever verbiage that they use, and sometimes, once you get deep into what those requirements are, you scratch your head, then wonder whether or not the grant's worth it. So that's the only reason that I ask is what the expectations of that are.
We sign those program assurances for our federal entitlements every year. They're quite lengthy, and the grants management system that we apply for these grants through at the state level, all of the projects that we list as an activity in those grants have to be approved by the state, each individual activity. So depending on the person that's reviewing those requests, the approval is either granted or not.
Do we know why Canterbury got so much compared to Belmont? It's like over 50% of the total that Belmont got, and we only have 30% of the amount of students.
So each grant had a set level amount for professional development. So 3,000 of that was professional development in each grant. The rest was materials.
Okay. So they both got the max 3 grand for
Correct. And Mark, just another point that I know what you're saying, that there's a lot of things that I'll find out about grant opportunities, and then you go out there and you read and you have to ensure that you're going to do such and such for 5 years or 10 years. And so we do look at that before we decide we're going to proceed.
Okay.
I'm actually a stickler about that because I don't want to commit to something that I don't think is reasonable or something that we are committing down the road that we might not be able to adhere to.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, all those in favor of the motion as presented, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. And then next set of grants.
Those are the robotics grants, and each Belmont Middle School and Belmont High School were each awarded $15,000. This is actually the second year of the 2-year grant because the robotics grants come out. It's a 2-year grant. They say it's a 2-year grant. You have to make sure that you get your report in by a certain date and get your report of expenditures in order to get the second year. Obviously, we make those deadlines, and so we were awarded the second year.
Does this mean that we could potentially run into the same situation we did last year with the grant money wasn't going to come in time for them to register?
So they did have to register for some, and we were not able to take those out of the grant because the grant did not get approved. The district didn't get approved by the grant, for the grant, when they had to register. And the event already took place. So you can't back.
So what I meant, since this is year 2, next year, are they going to be in the situation they were the first year? When we had all the parents and stuff come because they weren't going to have grant money?
We don't know. It totally depends on whether the state is going to continue the robotics grant program, and it depends on if there's any parameters that they may say it has to be a first-year school getting it, or they may say, I mean, this is like 6 years now that we've been getting the grant. Who knows, if too many people apply, they may say it's, for people starting programs first.
We also added those monies to the operating budget for supplies and fees.
Right.
They can absorb some of those fees if the grant can't cover it.
And we kept that this year, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's in
Yeah.
there.
But that helps to supplement the grants.
Right. Yeah, and so we'll need to pay attention to that as we go through budget development, because I don't know that we'll know whether there's another round
Right.
of grants coming out by the time.
But if we keep it in, then we should be good to go.
We'll keep it in, but it won't cover the whole program.
Right.
And we don't know, what'll happen is, a lot of times don't know with grants whether or not, if they don't follow the same timelines we do. So you could end up finding there's gonna be a robotics grant in May, which would be too late for our budgeting process. So we're just gonna have to think, how do we make sure robotics has what they need?
So we haven't had a motion yet.
No, I don't think so. I was
Okay,
gonna ask.
yeah, so I'll make a motion to accept the Belmont Middle School $15,000 grant and the Belmont High School $15,000 grant for the robotics programs.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion as presented, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries.
And the last item is a grant that exceeds the $25,000 limit, so we will have to have a public hearing to accept the fresh fruit and vegetable program grant.
Make a motion to schedule a public hearing on October 8, 2024, relative to acceptance of the fresh fruit vegetable program.
Second. Are we going to talk about this? Or what is this?
Yeah.
Oh, it's an elevator? I guess so, yeah. Has it been surfaced?
Every year.
Hydraulic fluid.
Any questions or discussion? All those in favor of the motion as presented, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Okay, strategic direction update.
So Randy and I have been meeting, we started over the summer meeting with an organization called ISOPAR to help facilitate our strategic planning process. They use a third-party vendor known as Qualtrics to develop surveys, take the survey results and any other data that's requested and put together a front-facing dashboard on our website where those results are visible to the public, as well as they do progress monitoring in years after the plan is developed. So we've been meeting with them. They provided references to 4 school districts in the state that they work with. I spoke with 3 out of the 4 school districts for references to superintendents there. They're very pleased with the work that they do. They provide us with 2 contracts, one's from Isobar and one is from Qualtrics. The total amount for the first year is approximately $30,000. That doesn't include travel costs for a facilitator to come out, and that would be approximately 3 times a year at approximately $1,500. So you're looking at close to $4,500 for additional travel costs. So we're still within that vicinity that we talked about last spring, $30,000 to $40,000 for that first year, and potential $12,000 for each year after that for the progress monitoring piece. So they come in, it's basically 3 phases for developing the strategic plan. First phase is working with district leaders to sort of set the tone moving forward, utilizing our district support team for that. And then they come in and work with what's known as a strategic planning committee, and that's a larger group of stakeholders to develop their plan itself. And then, as I said, then phase 3 is really putting all of that information out to the public, and then the following year, progress monitoring the goals that we set in that planning process. So we're looking forward to moving forward with this process. It's actually start next month.
So I wish Sean were here because my little data loving heart was going to put a pattern as I met with them. So again, we're going to have this public-facing dashboard. As they do the progress, they're going to update it. So it's going to show us where we're at against our goals. So it's really exciting. We can also use that tool to survey staff. We can use it to survey alumni. Yeah, it's going to pull in all sorts of fun stuff. It connects right to our own systems. We are very excited.
We can also utilize them. I know that there's been a lot of talk about communication practices and perception of district communication. We can utilize this organization to assess the current perception of our communication and actually find out the means that people would like us to communicate more.
As a part of the strategic direction?
It could be part of the strategic direction, but it's also my understanding is that we have access to these other options if necessary, since we are signing on with the vendor, and what the vendor provides is part of the overall package. So I just want to provide that update. Moving forward and starting the work in October.
So do you need a vote?
No, we already.
No, because the board last spring.
No,
gave us the authority to move forward, so.
I'm just making sure.
Just want to make sure that the board's aware. We'll keep you posted along the way.
Okay. Any questions?
Thank you.
Okay, on the horizon. So on the horizon, just a reminder, it only is the board meetings, not the budget.
I know October 8th, we're going to be at 5 o'clock for building and grounds, because we have, was it EI coming? Talk to us about air handlers.
Yep.
Buildings and grounds exciting.
And have we invited the Canterbury and Belmont?
I actually wanted to ask you that this evening. Where would you like to hold that meeting?
So we want to do it together.
Yes.
Right?
So it'll be 3 boards in one room.
Ooh.
It's on October 24th.
22nd.
I'm sorry, 22nd.
I feel like with that many, we just need to kind of talk about which building is equipped to handle that many people.
Right.
Is it the SAU?
I hope we'll be able to do.
We can do it in the upstairs conference room with old people. I don't know if we have room for public seating. Probably best to do it in the cafeteria.
Doing the CS cafeteria.
Yeah, CS
Got plenty of
cafeteria.
meetings there.
Yeah.
CES cafeteria.
Yeah,
That works for me. It's a CES month anyways, right?
yeah.
Also, I know this is not the time to bring this up, but I will anyways. So I've been thinking of something in the back of my mind and that Sean said recently about how the way that we do our meetings when we alternate between Canterbury and Belmont, it means that we don't make it back to one of the schools in Belmont for like 4 months. And I was wondering if it made more sense to go back and forth meeting by meeting. Like the first meeting of the month is in Canterbury, the second one is in Belmont. Because then you'd at least,
That doesn't work for me.
okay, all right.
Sorry.
Then I'd have
That's
to
okay.
remember.
Me personally,
All right,
Yeah.
it was just a
I'm
thought.
gonna get really confused.
It was just a thought.
I have enough
Okay.
I feel like
It was
we're
just
gonna
a
have more than a few board members go to the
I
wrong
usually work
place.
2 or 3 hours away, and that would just,
Okay,
I know October's is gonna be no fun.
all right,
I don't need
I
to
didn't mean for, like,
alternate my
anytime
fun
soon.
in 1 month.
all right. Good point.
Sorry, that's
That's
just
okay.
my personal.
So I'll extend that invitation
Okay.
out to the both board selectmen.
Okay.
The 22nd, 6 p.m. Canterbury Elementary School.
Okay, anything else on the horizon? Okay. Volunteer list.
Make a motion to accept the volunteer list with the noted exceptions.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor of the motion as presented, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Okay. So we have Appendix B nominations and then a nomination for the BMS computer integration teacher, which we can approve both in non-public, in public, as long as there's no questions of a personnel nature.
Make a motion to accept the Appendix B nomination.
Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor of the motion as presented, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. And then there's one teacher nomination.
Make a motion to accept the BMS computer integration teacher.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion as presented, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Abstentions, objections, okay. All right, next up, public communication and correspondence. Okay, seeing none. For non-public, we have review and approval of the September 10th non-public minutes, which we can do in public.
Motion to, you can do it. You can have it.
No, go for it.
No, you can have it.
Make a motion to accept the non-public meeting minutes for September 10th.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion as presented, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Okay, motion carries.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.